Picture Chicago, April 10th, 1899. The stockyards stink, the trains rattle overhead, and the air smells like money mixed with blood. For the first time in 3 centuries, America has run out of West to chase. The frontier is gone, the factories are humming, and everybody's wondering, okay, now what? Do we take a nap, or do we pick a new fight? Into that uneasy pause steps a short, nearsighted human firecracker named Theodore Roosevelt, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, war hero hobbyist, part-time taxidermist, full-time adrenaline addict. He's 40 years old, bursting with opinions, and about to turn a after-dinner speech into the unofficial software update for the American century. Walk into the Hamilton Club with me. The coat check girl is juggling silk hats. The bar smells like bourbon and boosterism. Half the crowd is still dizzy from the Spanish-American War. We've just picked up Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines like impulse items at the checkout counter. Mark Twain's calling the whole thing piracy. The business pages are already printing maps of the China market. Everybody feels the hinge of history creaking, but nobody knows which way it'll swing. Then Roosevelt climbs onto a chair. He's too impatient to wait for the podium and starts whacking the air with sentences. No slides, no teleprompter, just pure, uncut TR. 10 minutes in, he's insulted every comfort-loving man and child-shirking woman in Illinois. The audience gasps, then leans forward. You can almost hear the room decide, this is going to be interesting. He gives them 2 choices only: ease and self-indulgence, or the life of strenuous toil. Notice he doesn't say hard work like your math teacher. He says strenuous, effort that pulls muscles and maybe morals. Every line is a boxing glove. Effort versus ease, empire versus shame, virility versus flab. You've got to pick corners right there in your seat. Then comes the kicker. Slack off abroad and you'll be fighting harder necessity at home. Colonies, in other words, are gym equipment for the national physique. Half the crowd cheers because they hear profit. The other half cheers because they hear purpose. Same words, different daydreams. That's the trick. Peel back the rhetoric and you'll find a 3-step blueprint. 1. Nations are organisms, grow or die. 2. The frontier just closed, so we'd better invent a new one. 3. Refuse and you commit race suicide. His phrase, not mine. Yep. Behind all that muscle flexing lurks a terror of white Anglo-Saxon decline. Roosevelt folds racial anxiety into a pep talk, turning personal insecurity into foreign occupation. The farmer hears new acreage. The tycoon hears new customers. The preacher hears salvation. The kid in the balcony hears a dare. Everyone gets a customized ticket on the same train. Next morning, the speech is front page coast to coast. Republican bosses, who thought Teddy was a reckless show-off, suddenly murmur, "Governor? Vice President? President, maybe?" Within weeks, Yale's punching bags wear out. Vassar girls trade waltz for basketball. A St. Louis corset company advertises, "The strenuous life waste fits while you fight." Capitalism, never short on nerve, sells the critique back to the customers. Nothing proves Roosevelt's point better than the stampede. Once an idea starts sweating, good luck stuffing it back into the box. 16 months later, an anarchist's bullet vaults McKinley into martyrdom and Roosevelt into the presidency. The speech graduates with him. Every big move, mediating the Russo-Japanese War, sending the Great White Fleet around the globe, carving out national forests, follows the same script. Find a comfort zone, smash it, call the breakage virtue. Conservation? A gym where the nation practices restraint. Trust-busting? A workout for civic character. Critics cry, publicity stunt. Fans shout, character building. Both are right, which is why the slogan refuses to retire. Ideas outlive budgets. In 1902, a West Pointer names his baby boy Theodore. Buzz Aldrin wears a challenge patch on the moon. The Boy Scouts copyright the phrase for their handbook. Hollywood Westerns recycle the plot. The hero can't hoe corn in peace. He must chase danger to stay decent. Gatorade, CrossFit, No Pain No Gain t-shirts, they're all grandkids of that Chicago night. When Empire needs recruits, it rarely bribes with cash. It sells membership in an exclusive moral gym. The speech is the first brochure. Of course, the brochure has tiny, nasty clauses. If civilization equals capacity for violence, then Filipinos resisting occupation aren't soldiers. They're tag bandits. At home, black men must prove their fitness for rights Jim Crow keeps just out of reach. Many African-American leaders still enlist, come home victorious, and meet lynch mobs. Roosevelt praises their valor in private letters, stays mum in public. Oversight? Nope. Architecture. The doctrine needs friction. Race supplies the grindstone. Women get drafted, too. TR idolizes the prairie mother raising 6 kids, but also the college girl studying biology, so long as her smarts serve the nation. Out pops a hybrid ideal, domestic powerhouse plus public usefulness. Suffragists and anti-suffragists each lift their favorite lines, proving the language is elastic enough to endorse almost anything. By 1920, a cartoon shows a female voter climbing Strenuous Life Mountain. She's triumphant and exhausted. The ticket to equality is paid in bruises, and the bouncer is still a guy. Overseas, rising powers treat the speech like open-source code. Japanese reformers translate it as the way of the strenuous samurai, handy for justifying annexation of Korea. Young Churchill drools that the Americans have found the words for what we feel. Even anti-colonial leaders flip it. Kwame Nkrumah quotes Roosevelt to argue that Africans must live strenuously to boot out the British. Same engine, opposite direction, ideas change lanes without signaling. Scroll forward. Presidents vow to restore vigor. Influencers promise to crush comfort. Workout apps sell warrior mindset. The verbs morph. The binary sticks, struggle or slide. Pacific bases, hustle culture, moon missions, goat yoga retreats. All cite Roosevelt, knowingly or not. The speech keeps rebooting because abundance still scares us. We'd rather be sore than superfluous. So, did it work? Geopolitics says yes. America entered the 1900s a regional curiosity, exited a global titan. Human cost says, look at the cemeteries and the court files. History rarely hands out neat scorecards. Roosevelt's genius was welding private dread to public mission so tightly that skepticism felt unpatriotic. The takeaway isn't that struggle itself is evil. Civilizations do need challenge, but that once struggle becomes ideology, somebody else usually does the sweating while somebody else banks the proceeds. Spot the pattern and you can start rewriting the code. Next time you hear a politician holler about national vigor or your phone pings you to embrace the grind, remember the night those strings were first strung. Theodore Roosevelt didn't just praise effort. He soldered biology, race, and destiny into a perpetual motion machine that still powers aircraft carriers and Instagram memes. The speech ended in 1899. The workout never hits its last rep. Understanding its birth reminds us that ideas, once loose, don't politely retire. They keep doing push-ups in the mirror of every age, whispering that comfort is sin and only empire has abs.